disciples of the Watch.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the Disciples of the Watch podcast, where we talk rock and metal and play tunes from independent artists from all over the globe. And now your hosts, Gene Vogel and Nate Matnich.
Disciples, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Disciples of the Watch.
This is episode number 304. The date is January 14th, 2024. I'm Nate Matnich.
And I'm Gene Vogel. Thank you for joining us. On this episode, we'll discuss current events. Nate's got a tune to share. We'll enjoy some independent music from Angels in Vain and Enmity. Then we'll wrap the show discussing 40 big rock and metal albums turning 40 in 2024. Wow, 2024 already, Nate. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I actually am.
That's good.
How about you?
Fabulous. I think I am as well. I'll be curious to see how things shake out at work. But yeah, I'm ready for it. You just got to keep on trucking, keep your head down, keep plowing forward, man.
That's just right, man. Keep moving forward.
Can't look back. Can't sit and bitch about it. Just do your shit and try to live the best life you can.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Don't let the bastards get you down.
That's almost impossible these days.
Maybe stay a little bit off the internet. At least the social media a little less.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help.
That definitely helps.
What have you been up to? Amen to that, brother. What have you been up to?
Oh, man. I don't know. It's been, since it was before the Christmas holiday time here since we recorded last. So
We kind of booked a Sepultura, worst to best with the Max Cavalera years. And, yeah, they released that post-Christmas for us. And, yeah, so it's been a little bit since we actually have been face-to-face, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, holidays were quiet. You know, I'm living out here in Colorado, so my family's in Minnesota and Leslie's family's in New York. Her and Zach, they did fly back to New York the week before Christmas to do some family stuff. I just didn't want to travel during the holiday at all, dealing with airplanes and shit.
Yes.
I already don't have very much time off, you know.
Big lines.
So I'm like, fuck that. The holidays, I just want to chill at home.
Same here, man.
That's what I did, and it was quiet. Not having to run to people's homes for different things and whatever. We just all hang out here and eat and watch TV and whatnot. It's just a good time. Good
Nice.
to have some time off work. I actually made New Year's resolutions. I haven't done that, and I can't even remember the last time. But I actually came up with some and wrote them down. And it's largely health-related stuff because, especially when I was starting this new job, you know, just dealing with stress and whatnot. So one of the things is I used to enjoy smoking blunts. If you don't know what that is, it's a tobacco wrapper with weed inside. And that was something that I would just enjoy sometimes. Then it got to be, you know, daily, and then it got to be multiple on a day. And on the weekends, you know, I could smoke 5 blunts in a day. And
Oh, jeez.
it's you know, nicotine is very addicting, as pretty much anybody who's ever smoked understands that. And you know, I quit cigarettes it's got to be 20 years since I've smoked a cigarette. But I've went back and forth with cigars, and then now it took shape again now with these, you know, smoking blunts. So I'm like, fuck. So, you know, initially, my resolution was to just smoke blunts on the weekend. And then I just decided I'm just going to quit until I have no desire for it anymore. And some other stuff, too, like eating candy and shit. And it goes right hand in hand with, smoking weed, too, because you get the munchies. And I like to eat, Nerds and Skittles and all that kind of crap, so.
The health foods.
Yeah.
The health side of the candy aisle.
The fifth fruit group. Anyways, so there's some other shit too, you know, in there around my spiritual path and different different things around that. But anyways, I made resolutions, man. But I kind of, you know, in general, I'm kind of on a path to self-improvement. You know what I mean? I'm challenging myself. I don't wait till the new year for that stuff.
Same here.
In general, I don't feel like I need to have, you know, set aside some special time to do that or whatever. But yeah, things are going good with that right off the bat. Leslie and I went out to Cottonwood Hot Springs last night for an overnight. It's one of our favorite spots to go, and it's in Buena Vista, Colorado. And it's really funny because it's cold here. And, in the Front Range area where I live in Lakewood, Denver, that area, the suburbs, it got down to like, I don't know, 2 below or 4 below or something. And there's like signs on the highway telling people to like stay in and prepare for this cold snap. And, I guess just growing up in Minnesota, 2 below is, it's fucking cold, no doubt about it. But it's not like stay home cold.
No, we go play in this.
I've got up and went to work when it's 40 below zero out.
We go build snowmen. We go sledding.
Yeah. That's just winter ramping up at 2 below.
Right. Yeah. Go do some bumper dragging through the trailer parks.
It was actually warmer in the mountains anyways. Once we got there, it was like, 29 degrees in the mountains.
Oh, nice.
We did hit some pretty good snow on the way home today, which is funny because by the time we got back home, it was totally sunny, here at home. But it was a whiteout. I couldn't see the mountains around us at all.
Oh, wow.
We have all these people who've moved here from Texas, California, Florida,
Minnesota.
And these people are going like 20 miles an hour. It took us so long to get, like to drive like 60 miles, probably took like an hour and a half. And it's just, it's over the top, and at some point there's nothing you can do because it's just 2-lane roads. You're not going to be like passing anybody. Fuck. Drove me nuts, but I don't know. I guess I mentally prepared for it before I got in the car because I had a feeling that was going to happen. Yeah. It's cool. We live so close to all that type of shit.
Hell yeah.
2 hours away and it's, fucking hot springs in the mountains for a night. The only other thing I want to mention is I was watching that show called Billions. I mentioned it on the podcast before.
Yes.
There's a lot of metal references in there. And I've gotten through all the seasons now. And the last 2 seasons that really died down quite a bit. Just to give an example, like there's one scene where like a person just rattles off the top 5 Rush albums and it's kind of like, well, everybody knows these are the top 5 Rush albums. And then another character on the show says, no, it's this. And then, they read off the top 5 Rush albums as though this is it. And to just hear that random in a discussion on a fucking TV show, I think that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. They played Black Sabbath, Never Say Die on that show. Slayer, Angel of Death. Man, there's a lot of like Sopranos references, Godfather references, lots of rock and metal references. Oh man, like they even mentioned somebody kind of shit on covers, and then another person said, "Well, what about Blinded by the Light?" Just shit like that in the dialogue. So
yeah, man for man.
Yeah. And it's not a bad show either. It's a little bit like fuck because these billionaires they're depicted as basically they have so much money they just do what they want. They just pay people to make shit happen, whether it's legal or illegal or whatever. And we're seeing this play out in our society. So that part of it's like fuck. It's an entertaining show, but these motherfuckers actually are a bunch of motherfuckers. That's about it, man.
How did you like the way it wrapped then?
I don't know. I mean, the whole last 2 seasons were not as good because the main character, Axe, he basically gets banished out of the United States because he's got, he's going to get arrested if he comes back. And then it's a different billionaire that's the focus of the show. And it just wasn't the same. That other guy ended up coming back, like in the last season, and it kind of got interesting again a little bit. But I don't know if it's done permanently. I just know I'm current.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's I feel like it kind of was left where maybe it could continue on and maybe it also could end.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if they left the door open.
Yeah. Well, you should check it out. You might like it. I mean, just for the music references, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I started it back when we did have Showtime for a brief period. We watched like 1 episode and just hadn't returned back to it, and then we canceled it because we only got it for a certain show or something like that, or we had a 30-day free trial. I don't even remember now. That was a while ago.
Well, the first 4 seasons are free. I think Amazon Prime, and then
oh, nice.
And then I signed up for Paramount for the last 2 seasons. I think they were on there.
Oh, I've got Paramount.
It is a Showtime show,
Amazon.
But you can watch it elsewhere.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check my Amazon and see if I can get those first seasons. Yeah, because I've been watching Reacher, which has been very enjoyable. I've heard people talking about it. The only problem is I forgot that Amazon is doing that, only releasing. When the season started, they released 2 episodes, and now every week they're doing an episode. So I bummed out on Saturday night. I was looking forward to watching some Reacher, and I watched one episode, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm caught up.
No fucking
This
binging.
sucks.
Fuck.
I gotta go do something or be productive around my house. This is bullshit. Angel and I did wrap Suits though. We finalized that one, and that one is done. They've completed the story arc. The whole thing's wrapped up. It wasn't like a super satisfying ending, but it wasn't anything I can deal with. I'm fine with it, and it seemed to be very formulaic. But Angel and I were also being very attentive to watching just that show. So we probably could have taken a break and watched something else. Like we did watch The Crown or wait, did we finish that? Yeah, we did. We did finish The Crown. So we could have been kind of jumping between the two, but we kind of saw the finish line and just thought, let's just keep going. Or at least I did. I was the one with the remote, but we did wrap it. I know I recommended it to you. I'm not 100% sure you dig it, but I'd say give it a shot, especially if it's something that you could watch with your wife.
Yeah, we were just talking about it before the podcast because I'm like, well, what are we going to watch now? I started Fargo, and then she's not, it's violence in there. She's not going to dig it already. I tried to kind of talk to her about it. She's just not going to get down with it. So that's going to take me a lot longer to get through it, obviously. But I'm pretty hooked. I have started it in the past. I can't remember why I didn't continue with it. And it may be because Leslie and I started it together and she just wasn't interested right away. But anyways, I started that one, and I think we're going to do Suits because, I don't know. We watched one, but we'll have to give a few more a shot and see if we get hooked.
And there's no violence really in it. Not much, occasional punch in the mouth kind of thing. It's definitely no Jack Reacher, or Reacher, I should say. The name of the show is just Reacher. Because Tom Cruise did a movie called Jack Reacher. Actually, I think he did two. That's right. And Jack Reacher is supposed to be like 6'7" and just this hulking human being. And Tom Cruise, who's like 5 foot, he's probably my height, is playing this character. I've never seen him, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to start with the shows because I heard the show is way more in line with what the books are. And as soon as I watched the first one, I really enjoyed the character. I enjoyed the actor playing the character, and I was all in. So I'm all caught up. I watched one season, and now I'm into 7 episodes, I think it is, of season 2. But other than that, bits of fun. Work's been insane. I've been working longer hours, and so far they haven't. They've been talking about my compensation and pay, but we haven't pulled any triggers on that.
Are you salaried?
And I am.
Okay, so you're doing the extra hours and not seeing any.
Yes.
I got it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's been a huge pain in the ass, especially at end of year for the line of work I'm in. The calendar year turning over, things have been crazy, and then we'll be getting reached out from vendors saying, "Hey, you guys didn't update the software. It's not going to work until you update it, and you need to update it by January 8th." And it's like, well, that's today. That kind of stuff. So it's been a battle, but it's basically every time a hurdle comes up, I just got to either jump it or knock it down, but you got to just keep going and get this shit done. But my coworkers have been very appreciative. I've been getting a lot of kudos directly from people and our little intranet. We have a SharePoint intranet type of setup where we have a board where people can give kudos to other employees, like, hey, they handled this person really well, or they went above and beyond, or blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I've seen, I got a couple of mentions there in the past 2 weeks or something like that. And I didn't even know it until I was showing a new employee the system. I'm like, oh, and here's where people can give comments on. And I'm like, oh, there's my name. I said, I suppose I should look at this and just in case I got to respond. So yeah, it's been freaking crazy. And the holidays were crazy. We had 3 Christmases, one with 40 some people in our house. And, but everything went pretty quick, and it was nice having the short work schedules, for the holidays. I didn't take any extra time off, but now I don't know when I'm going to take time off because I'm the only person who does my job. Nobody knows the stuff that I do. So I'm slowly helping others, but I at least probably got to wait till March. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just don't want my work PTO to get where it starts to drop because I'm at my limit of what I can carry over.
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet because I obviously, we went to Denver and I burned over a week there and et cetera, et cetera. So, but it's when I checked it last, I was actually surprised how much time I had in there. So we'll see what happens. But enough about me. I want to actually recap some things from 2023 regarding the podcast, Nate. I know I like to sometimes shoot you information on a personal level. We'll get in a discussion on our Facebook Messenger. I'll grab screenshots or whatnot. But I kind of grabbed some facts as I was going through and putting my notes together at the end of last year for this show. And here's some things I made note of. We posted 66 episodes. A lot of those, of course, are independent music specials and specials that I did regarding the independent music. So like the Gene's Picks, there was 2 of those last year. One I just released, and I'm going to be working on the 4th and final one. And then I'm going to do a top 40 of all the stuff from 2023 that was played during those independent music specials. We had over 880 independent artists that I had to check out to narrow it down to the ones that we were using through the show. Not a lot of stuff got cut out, but it will definitely going forward next year this year, because I'm only going to be doing 40 songs per month now. I'm not going to do 2 episodes. I'm just going to do the top 40 for each month, and that's the episode. I'm going to try to trim a little bit of the excess that I've been doing as far as the podcast. And I want to do more regarding the patrons or in our Patreon site and coming up with exclusive content to make that more enticing for people to consider joining Patreon. So my energies will be going in that direction as well. I was going to start doing more YouTube stuff, but then I found, or I was reminded of, I don't remember the situation, but YouTube is able to pull your RSS feed for your podcast and make videos for it. The only problem is we play full songs. We play the bands, and that'll sometimes flag. And so either I got to dispute it, like we got permission, the bands, their PR people sent it to us, so I'll dispute some of that stuff. But there's like I think it was my Life in 4 songs that flagged on a song that would absolutely not be played. I think it was even a segment of one of David Lee Roth's solo songs, Shy Boy, I think it was. Yeah, I think I played a snippet of Shy Boy. And so they're like, you cannot play this episode at all. So I'm going to have to go back and edit that part out, and then I can repost it, but I'll have to do it as a video, and I won't be able to do it off RSS feed. But as of right now, there's a bunch of stuff that got pulled over, and I just have to kind of clean up or do disputing for some of that. So if you're a YouTube user and you're looking for YouTube audio, again, it's audio. Obviously they're presented as video, and some of the early episodes that I was doing when I started to transfer the podcast into video form is I'd put like the screenshots of the record covers and stuff. And of course that takes more time. This is a far faster way of doing it. It's just a little bit of cleanup on the back end. And then once everything's in cleared, some of the episodes are cleared straight away. There's no copyright disputes. They just say, I can't monetize it. Well, that's fine. We want to celebrate the music. We want people to have opportunities to hear the music. So those episodes will start to live on and carry on via YouTube. So you can listen to it there. But of course, if you're not a YouTube premium or whatever, if you shut the app down or something like that, well, then you can't listen to it anymore. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass as far as that goes. Let's see. So more with the recap, the most downloaded episode, and that's according to our free statistics software that we're using that comes with our site. It's not very robust, and but I at least gives us a very good indicator as far as download numbers. I don't think that gets some of the stuff, like obviously it's not going to pull YouTube numbers and stuff like that. I can add that. I can go look at the stats for those, but that's just an extra bit of jumping around that I need to do right now. We'll see what happens if the numbers start rising up on the YouTube, but that's new for us, is the whole YouTube stuff. But the most downloaded episode is of My Life in 4 songs, and that was with Sonny Pooney. So kudos to Sonny. Now, of course, his was uploaded at the very beginning of 2023, and there's a few that were released later in 2023 that started to get close, like Bill Lindsay from Impaler, the vocalist, founding member of Impaler. His is starting to get into that territory where he could compete for maybe one of the most downloaded, or if not the most downloaded, My Life in 4 songs. But as of right now, just for 2023 numbers from month 1 to month 12, Sonny Pooney holds that crown. The most downloaded worst to best episode was the Overkill one. And that's pretty cool. And I think that's because I did a lot of promotion on the Overkill pages. And the only thing that sucked about that is dealing with fans of bands. And it's Overkill, it's Megadeth, it's Tool. I'm in a bunch of those groups, and I realized I don't want to interact with most of these people.
Right.
So that's why I'd love to put up our Megadeth worst to best, but I know that I'm going to have to deal with a bunch of damn idiots and stupid shits. And, you know, the one guy stands out with the Overkill one saying, I don't have 3 hours to listen to this shit. And it's like, well, then don't listen to podcasts, you fucking clown. You could pause it at any time or jump to the end if you want to see what the master list is, what it comes out as. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But to sit and bitch about the length of something, you know, don't go to the movie. Don't download the podcast, you know, whatever it might be. Don't make the drive. Don't make the flight. If those things are too long for you, then fucking stay home and just shut off your internet. You whiny little bitch. I don't need to deal with those fucking people, Nate, is what I'm basically trying to say.
Yeah, well, you can thank social media for us having to deal with these people because it's made people real comfortable with just being motherfuckers.
Yeah. I know.
The worst side of fucking people's personalities comes out all over their fucking social media, and it's just they just throw that shit out in the wind. It's not like that when you're dealing with people face to face.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, and it's like, you motherfucker, we're celebrating one of the fucking best bands on the fucking planet, and a band that you're supposedly a huge fan of, and you're going to bitch about the length of a fucking podcast? You motherfucking clown. Just shut up and stay home and fucking touch yourself. Turn off your fucking internet. Get off of social media, you piece of shit. God, I can't stand fucking people. That's what I learned, though. I'm like, we're here celebrating a fucking band, and you got to be a little dick. Fuck off. I ain't got time for your bullshit. I just stopped interacting. I just kind of kept poking at the guy, but like, I wasn't being a dick back to him. I just was like, well, don't listen to it. You know, you don't have to. It's like, it's not a big deal. You know, even like when I reposted that, my breaking down the whole tracks of the latest Overkill album. You know, I had people bitching to me about that. Like, well, the band picked this and that's how I'm going to listen to it. I'm like, yeah, go for it. I'm not telling you to, I'm just telling you what I did. Here's what I did. And I found when I tweaked the playlist a little bit from song 1 to song 9 or whatever, or song 10, I found this more enjoyable. Give it a shot. Check it out. Motherfucker, who do you think you are? I'm just a fucking podcaster making some fucking decisions and trying to be creative and trying to find what makes this album better for me, motherfucker. God, why are people so fucking stupid? I don't fucking get it, man. We're here celebrating this shit. We're trying to keep discussions going. We're having fun and we're celebrating music. And you in your fucking ivory tower of fucking ineptitude thinks you gotta fucking try to ruin everybody's fucking day by being a cunt? Fuck right the fuck off. So back to the show. The most downloaded time travel radio was 1975, Nate. And oh God, I got to get the 80s done. I've got the music mostly selected. I just got to get that 80s done. I was hoping to get it done by the end of 2023, but that My Life in 4 Songs with Alex Alt came up, and so I kind of tweaked my mental schedule. But that is on my list of things to do this week because I'd really like to get one of those out. Sooner the better. But yeah, that so far that was the most downloaded time travel radio, 1975. And last but not least, our site visitors for 2023 in order from number 1 to number 10. I only went through the top 10 countries. And of course, you have to take those with a grain of salt because with VPN, some people are spoofing and whatnot like that. I don't care. Here's what the comes down to. Running away with it at number 1, without a doubt, there's not even a close competition with number 2 is USA. USA is our top listened to, top checked out site, or I'm sorry, people will check out our site and stuff like that. Then China. I was very shocked that China was number 2.
Somehow that seems weird to me. I was surprised to see that too.
Yes. Then the UK, which I was a little bit surprised in that one because at number 4 is Canada, and Canada used to always be our number 2 because we get a ton of bands from Canada. We do a lot of support of Canadian bands. So I was surprised they slid back to number 4. But then again, with more exposure and doing the My Life in 4 Songs and the music specials, more importantly, I guess, the music special ones, is drawing in more attention from the UK and apparently China too. I guess they're big for metal and we supply what they need. That's awesome. Number 5, we have Ireland, which I'm surprised beat out number 6, which is Germany. Sweden's at number 7. And Japan and Australia, they tied for number 8. And at number 10, so that's an 8 and 9 put together. And at number 10 would be Italy. So again, that's site visits, not downloads. We're not paying for premium support or not support. Premium. What's the word I'm looking for, Nate?
Premium. I don't know, man.
We're not paying for premium. Exactly. Tracking and statistics. That's what I'm looking for. And we just want to put out a good fucking podcast. But I do like to see where our visitors come from. And
I'm surprised South America is not on there, because I thought they were one of our higher segments of listeners in the past.
Well, and one thing I'm noticing, when you're looking at these top 10 is there's a lot of bands that submit from those locations. We don't get as much from South America. So I try to play those bands when they do submit, and I'll be curious to see once I go to top 40. But yeah, I'll celebrate bands from Brazil and anywhere, Mexico. But yeah, it's just it's a bit of word of mouth. And the more that we play those bands and the more those bands actually do the right thing and share and want to discuss, hey, our music's getting some attention from this kick-ass podcast called Disciples of the Watch. Check them out. Then that gets our listenership up in their areas. But China's that's the one that's just, I don't know, maybe it was Xi Jinping. Maybe we're big in his cabinet or something. Maybe he's a closet metalhead. I don't know.
You never know, man.
I don't even know if I said his name right.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
The leader of China.
Okay. Another fucking psychopath.
Yes. There's some interesting stuff. Of course, now you're insulting our Chinese listener, Nate. What are you doing, listeners?
I say that about any fucking leader in the world right now.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. You got to separate the leaders from the populace. Yeah. So anyhow, let's move forward. New music, Nate. Let's chat some new stuff. What have you been consuming lately?
Yeah, I got some good records, and it's funny, this first one I'm going to mention, when I got it, I was really excited, and then I wanted to tell somebody about it, and I'm like, I don't know anybody who would even give a fuck, honestly, like I do, So it turned out I actually thought of Rob from Glutton for Punishment, Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
I know he's buying
Carlson.
vinyl, and he's a big death metal fan, so I sent him a picture of it, actually. But it's a Swedish death metal box set. It's 5 albums, and it's got all of these different Swedish death metal bands, that going all the way back to like 1986, and then all the way up through current stuff. So, there's like Marduk and Morbid and some other bands that, I'm familiar with. But these, a lot of them are like demos and things like that, before like Marduk became kind of like what we know them as for black metal today. I still would have called them black metal, I guess, even with the song they played on this box set. But it's called Swedish death metal. It's got like Entombed on it and a whole bunch of all 5 albums are killer. There's no duds on it. Came with a slip mat for the record player. Comes with a poster, and then it has a map basically of Sweden, and then arrows pointing to where all the bands are from in Sweden.
Oh, nice.
So like my teenage self,
fucking
when
awesome.
I used to hang posters and shit, I would have fucking loved that, Unfortunately for me, it's going to just sit in that box now, but so I was really stoked. I grabbed it. I got that at Twist and Shout Records in Denver, which is, one of my favorite spots. And I grabbed it,
nice place.
And looked at it, and I thought, it's like $125. But after going and looking around at some other shit, I came back and grabbed it. So very glad I did. It's super cool. Another good one I got.
Regarding those posters, I have a hard time. As much as I'd love to separate them from the actual album and put them on in my, in the podcast studio or in my rehearsal space, it's hard for me to do that because it's like, well, I want it to stay with the record. It's like I'm breaking it up. It belongs with the record. If I hang this up or put it in a frame, then it's not going to be with the record anymore. It feels wrong. I'm like some sort of fucking broken. I'm guessing
like
it sounds like you're that way too.
Set, man.
Yeah. Makes me feel bad.
Yeah. It's a cool package, man. Definitely.
Sounds like it.
So if you're hearing this and you're a fan, I didn't hear about this anywhere. This is, and I'll just say this now, this is totally like why going to a record store is so kick-ass if you're into buying physical music, because, I mean, it just wouldn't have occurred to me to just be like go on Amazon and look for a Swedish death metal box set. So being able to walk around in your record store and look at shit, man, it's really fun, especially when you find a really cool one. This next one I got was also was really excited about. I've wanted it for quite a while, and that's Goody Mob, Soul Food. It was a record store day release, and it was pretty much one of the only ones on this last record store day that I was interested in. I didn't go out for record store day. I just figured, fuck it, if I see it, I'll get it. And they had a couple copies of it, so I got that. Really excited. That's hip hop, if you don't know who the Goody Mob is. Then I picked up Skeletal Remains, Condemned to Misery, and Chrysian, Black Forest Domain, both death metal bands. And I got those from Chain Reaction Records in Lakewood, Colorado, which is a metal and punk record store. It's pretty small, but they have really cool shit in there. They also sell like skateboards and t-shirts and stuff like that. And crazy fucking thing. So they're in they're on Colfax Avenue, which is a little bit of a seedy part for Denver. And they've had like some break-ins and stuff, but just over the weekend, man, some fucking drunk drove right through their shop, right into their shop, broke the walls down. It had just snowed. So this guy backed out, drove home in the neighborhood right behind the record store. So the police just followed his tracks to his house and arrested him. But I mean, I felt bad for these guys because it's a small shop. They're probably, not making fucking fistfuls of cash in here. They had to build a false wall and shit. But anyways, if you're in the Denver area and you're into those kind of records, man, Chain Reaction Records is really cool. That's all I got. What have you gotten? Did you get some stuff for Christmas?
Not a lot for Christmas. I did get Merciful Fates in the Shadows. Because remember, I got the picture disc, and I thought, I don't think it sounds that great, at least on my new record player, or new to me record player. So I put it on my wish list for my Amazon to keep an eye on it, and my daughter bought it for me. So it's like, well, that's off my list, and I decided to listen to it toot sweet so I could check it and compare it. And I'm not sure how much better it sounds, but because I didn't compare it, I just kind of moved on because I had other stuff I wanted to play. But yeah, that's all I got as far as my Christmas stuff. But I did treat myself like I tend to do around this time. One thing, actually, I was on a Facebook group and I saw somebody selling a Coverdale Page Japanese vinyl 30th anniversary of that only release they have. And I don't remember if I heard about this or not. It almost seemed like it was familiar, but I just remember seeing it when went, holy shit. So I immediately did a bunch of research and did some digging, and I found a seller in Japan offering a good price for it. So I just bit the bullet, paid for the extra shipping cost, and got my hands on it. So I'm glad to have that. It's in the original copy that I have is from Greece, and that's one slab of vinyl, where this is two slabs of vinyl. So, it's spread out a little bit more. It sounds awesome though. And I think it was a remastered or remixed or something. Maybe it was just remastered. I forget what it says, but very cool. Very glad to have that. And the prices are going up on it. So I'm not sure how many they printed, but Coverdale wanted to do something with Jimmy regarding the anniversary and just didn't get it done. And I know they've got some stuff that they were talking about, maybe even finishing or releasing. I forget what the situation was, but until that happens, I'm glad to have this in my collection. Oh, and then during the holidays, we had our work party and we got a tiny little Christmas bonus, hey, go out and buy yourself something kind of thing. And between that and winning a $25 gift card for the holiday random draw / white elephant, I went to Amazon and they had the Rat box set on sale for exactly how much money I had just gotten for my holiday party, maybe a few bucks more. So I was like, holy shit, this is perfect. I didn't hesitate. I threw that thing in my cart and got it immediately before somebody else snatched it out of my hands. Cause I have like the EP, but the EP is not part of this set, by the way. But I have that. I have obviously Out of the Cellar and Dancing Undercover and, what's that one? Invasion of Your Privacy. But the ones that follow, those last two are hard to get and they're expensive to get. Detonator and then Reach for the Sky. I think it's Reach for the Sky. I think that's the name of it. I always get that confused with the the song from Slaughter, or not Slaughter, but Firehouse. I'm ashamed that I know that off the top of my
I know
head.
the song, but I had no idea who it was. But I was just hearing it in my head as you were saying it.
Yeah, that's Firehouse. So it's nice that it comes with a sticker, which I don't think I'll put anywhere because I don't want to separate it from the box set. And the guitar pick, which again, it's going to live in that box set, and a little press pass for our backstage pass, I mean. So it's a pretty neat little box set, and there's pictures and stuff. I'm very glad to have it. It's got a 45 for the one single they did for a movie. I can't remember the name of the song off the top of my head. But, yeah, I think that, I don't remember if that one's on the greatest hits that I pulled out of Walmart. But, yeah, I was glad to get it because I wasn't going to pay $200 for it. I'm like, as much as I want those 2 albums to finish my collection, I can't justify spending $200 to just get those 2 albums. And then, of course, cleaner copies of the other ones that I already owned. So either I can sell those now, or I might just bring them down into the podcast studio here. I got my record players set up now. Did some work during the holiday season, got everything a little bit more tweaked. I got more work to do, but I got my record player. I got a cassette player set up down here. Oh, my CD player. Yeah, I think I got that set up too. Yeah, that's right, I do. I just haven't tested it yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah, wrapping up the vinyl stuff. Ozzy Patient number 9, Amazon had that sale. Our good friend, Loose Cannon from the Cobras and Fire podcast reached out to me and said, hey, Ozzy's Patient number 9 is like on a ridiculous sale on Amazon. So I took a look at it. I went to Spotify. I listened to it again. I'm like, you know what? I think I like this better when we reviewed it for the show for the worst to best Ozzy. And I figured, what the hell? I'm going to buy it. And I'm glad I did because listening to it again, it's like, yeah, this is the best thing he's done in a long time. And I'm not a big Ozzy fan, but it's kind of cool. And it could be his last album. We'll see. But I'm glad I got it. And it turns out it was a Target. I think it was a Target limited edition, like red one. So somehow somebody must have just bought a ton of them, or somebody stole them from Target and was reselling them on Amazon. So I don't know how that worked out. And then finally in the vinyl stuff, I got Rolling Stones' Tattoo You. That's been on my want list for a long time. That's one of those going back to when in my youth. I remember my friend had that. That and Foreigner 4 was another one. And Queen, The Game. I remember those 3 albums stand out in my brain. We used to listen to those before school constantly. And so I've got Foreigner 4. I've got Tattoo You. Now I just need to get my hands on Queen, The Game to kind of complete that little memory box set. And real quick, I did take advantage of the Nuclear Blast sale. I picked up Fear Factory's Aggression Continuum, Candlemass's Ashes to Ashes CD DVD set, Death Angel, The Evil Divide CD DVD Digipack, Creator Hate Uber Allah's CD, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, The Age of Absurdity, Testament live at the Fillmore Digipack, Slayer, The Repentless Trilogy live at the Forum 2 CD Digipack, and I got a mixtape from our friend Alex at the Sly Dog Podcast. He reached out to me and said, hey, can I get your address? I want to send you a mixtape. I'm like, I trust you. Here's my address. And he sent me some dick pics. No, I mean, he sent me a mixtape. So that was pretty cool. And luckily, at first he did clarify if I had a cassette player. I'm like, I'm a podcaster. I'm a music fan. Of course I got one, right? Nate, you got one too, right?
I did not.
I know. I was just giving you shit.
I feel left out. Just kidding.
So yeah, that was cool. Oh, and then last week, somebody on Facebook Marketplace was selling a box of cassettes for $10. She's like, come to my house and take these away. We're never going to listen to them. We don't even have a player anymore. I saw a bunch of names in there. I'm like, for $10? Hell yeah. And there's some country I'll probably either resell or give away to somebody. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's some of it's not modern, but it's more modern than the country I care for. So yeah, lots of stuff that I picked up recently. And holy crap, we're deep into this. We haven't even listened to a song yet. Nate, what do you say?
I'm ready.
Are we ready? Let's do it.
It's time for What's Nate Been Listening To? Where we check in to see what Nate's been listening to lately. And ladies, he definitely likes to share. On the Disciples of the Watch podcast.
So I've been on a country kick. It's been a while since I have been.
Speaking of.
Yeah, it was very good lead in there, Gene, without even knowing. Yeah, I've just been listening to a lot of country, and I can't help but think of this every time. You know how how far country music has just been separated from its roots. You know what I mean?
Where it started. Yeah.
You know, I've heard you use the word pandering, and just recently, like I seen Baco from Cobras and Fire podcast about Aaron Lewis. He commented on, you know, this guy doesn't really fucking believe this shit. He's just pandering. I would say this about Kid Rock as well. You know, he figured out he could market being a white boy from the trailer park. You know, that's all it is some fucking marketing shit.
Yeah, he grew up in a very affluent family in the Detroit area.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So, yeah.
It's just a bunch of funny
Actually,
shit.
my former boss knew his family. So he was telling me, he said, oh, yeah, they got a really nice house. They own a bunch of land and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, Kid Rock he's playing a part. You know, but he's playing it well. He's making some money.
Marketed it, and he's making money off of it. But what's frustrating is that these guys have, you know, they supposedly represent a certain segment of people or a certain ideology, and it's just fucking bogus, and they're just doing it for money.
Attention.
One of the things I love about country music, the old stuff especially, and, you know, maybe even all the way up into the 90s and stuff, but definitely later into the 90s, I started to hear all kinds of weird-ass shit in country music, but, you know, they lived hard lives, and it came out in their music, and you could completely feel it.
Yes.
You know, a lot of hip-hop music is that way. A lot of reggae music is that way. You know, this music that comes out of people who are living very difficult lives, and it's sincere, and they're vocalizing what it is that they've experienced, not some idea of what they think something is about, and so I'm going to write this song about it and put it out, which is what people are doing nowadays. It's just so absurd, you know?
Say that in a small town, Nate. I dare you.
Yeah, shit. You know what's fucked up, dude, about all that stuff, too? You're going to get me going. I already wanted to say something around this, but a lot of these people who have made being a patriotic American about beer, bacon, and tits, or having a big truck, or whatever fucking law enforcement fetish they fucking have, like, the people who founded this country were philosophers. You know what I mean? They had an idea, and they were trying to build a society around this idea of freedom, and it's just become a fucking marketing thing now. It doesn't have any significance for people, and so they write these bullshit-ass songs that are just fucking garbage and just, like, lifeless, and people eat the shit up because it plays into their own narrow-minded ideology that they've never really actually looked into or actually thought out, or, like, what does this actually mean to me, or why do I think this way, or any of that. They just fucking hear a song and like, yeah, that's what I believe, or, you know, same with memes and every other bullshit thing. It's just like, do people even investigate?
No, I feel like you're attacking me.
What the fuck they even care about? I don't know, man.
Probably not. They live in echo chambers.
The old stuff's legit, man. The old country, it's legit.
Yes.
And I'm going to play a song that you would never hear on country music radio today, or certainly not anybody who would be writing something like this today. And it's The Cold Hard Facts of Life by Porter Wagoner. So this song is about, and you listen to it, you hear the lyrics, but basically this dude, you know, he's on a business trip. He comes home a day early, stops at the liquor store. He's going to get some,
hooch,
you know, some booze to celebrate with his wife. And there's a guy in line in front of him, and he's buying some booze, and he's telling the bar, or the clerk or whatever, that he's going to a party, and this guy's wife is out of, or this woman's husband's out of town. Ends up following this guy to his house. He drives around, drinks his booze, goes in and kills him with a knife, and that's basically the cold hard facts of life. So enjoy.
I got back in town a day before I'd planned to. I smiled and said I'll sure surprise my wife. I don't think I'll phone, I'll just head on home, 'cause I didn't know the cold hard facts of life. I passed a little wine store on the corner. I pictured pink champagne by candlelight. I stopped the car right then, got out and hurried in, my mind not on the cold hard facts of life. A stranger stood there laughing by the counter. He said, I'll take 2 bottles of your best. Her husband's out of town and there's a party. He winked as if to say, you know the rest. I left the store 2 steps behind the stranger. From there to my house, his car stayed inside. But it wasn't till he turned into my drive that I learned I was witnessing the cold, hard facts of life. I drove around the block till I was dizzy. Each time the noise came louder from within. And then I saw our bottle there beside me, and I drank a 5th of courage and walked in. Lord, you should have seen their frantic faces. They screamed and cried, please put away that knife. I guess I'll go to hell, or I'll rot here in this cell. But who taught who the cold, hard facts of life? Who taught who the cold, hard facts of life?
All right, so that was Porter Wagoner, The Cold Hard Facts of Life, from the Cold Hard Facts of Life album.
Yeah, and Nate, I'm guessing you're aware of this, but if you're not, well, here you go. He was the one that brought Dolly Parton out. It got her exposure, and that was in 1967. I knew when you mentioned his name, I was like, that's Porter. That's Dolly's Porter. And sure enough, yeah, he was known for his flashy nudie and Manuel suits and blonde pompadour. I didn't realize he sang a song like you're mentioning regarding murdering the guy who's banging his wife.
Both of them, not just the guy.
Well, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, getting revenge and settling his heartbreak in that fashion. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd say just maybe grab your CDs and your vinyl and move on. Murders.
Throughout the whole song, he's there's all this shit's happening, and he's like, I was learning the cold hard facts of life. My favorite part though is after he's killed them, he's like, who taught who the cold hard facts of life? I love it. Johnny Paycheck has a song too from back then, and I think that was even before he was Johnny Paycheck, and I can't believe maybe it was Donnie Young or something like that. He's like my favorite country artist. I can't remember what the fuck he went. Anyways, he has a song called Pardon Me, I've Got Someone to Kill, and it's basically the same thing. His wife's cheating, and he's telling the bartender, pardon me, I've got someone to kill, and he says by the time the police get there, they'll be dead. He
was born Donald Eugene Little. Johnny Paycheck.
He had another stage name before Johnny Paycheck.
Gotcha.
Solid Country Gold.
Donnie Young.
Yeah, Donnie Young. Yeah, that's what I thought.
That was Miracle of Love. So opposite of murdering songs. That's some early gangsta shit right there, man. Yo.
That's good stuff, man. Lots of good country out there. If you like to sing along to music and stuff, I don't know, I feel like that's the best, and that's ultimately what really got me into country is like, one is hearing the lyrics and just really like kind of identifying with a lot of the hardships that, they're saying about. It's easy to pick up on the guitar and sing along with. So yeah, I used to know a whole bunch of country songs on the acoustic guitar, which I don't remember any of them anymore.
So you're saying the ones with the pickup trucks and the big titties and bacon and beer don't quite click with your vision of a engaging song?
Those old timers are rolling in their fucking grave too, that all these fucking jelly spine motherfuckers are trying to represent, country. Those dudes were hardcore. I mean, fucking Hank Williams got his wife pulled a pistol on a dude and said, she's mine now. Let's see Aaron Lewis go do that and then, sing songs about that type of lifestyle.
Well, we are living in a little bit of a different world today, too. I think Aaron Lewis would probably not want to be kind of like John Schaefer from Iced Earth. He doesn't want to be persona non grata. He wants to be able to go and actually perform and such. So I don't think he would do that. He'd risk his freedom. Of course, that's just more for everybody else. I don't need Aaron Lewis in my life.
Me either.
All right, you ready to talk some news, Nate?
Yeah.
And now, the news on Disciples of the Watch.
From the stuff I see, there's not a bunch going on, but we've got some good ones to talk about.
Yeah, I think from what I'm seeing, it's kind of the cream of the crop. But unfortunately, we're going to start out with a little bit of bad news. I hate to start on a bad note, but we've done that before, I guess. Usually if somebody's passed away, we try to cover it or we'll make mention of it. But former Scorpions and more importantly, Kingdom Come drummer James KOTTAK passed away at age 61. Part of the reason I want to mention this is I'm a fan of Kingdom Come. His work with the Scorpions is he's basically touring drummer, and I don't know if they even recorded with him. Maybe they did, but it's not like the better Scorpion stuff at any rate. He's not like a classic member. He's more just a fill-in type of guy. And he's worked with other bands too. But his relationship with alcohol is what took him low. Kind of a bummer there. But we'll get into the meat here. He was 61 years old, like I mentioned. His daughter Toby is her name, told TMZ that her father passed away Tuesday morning, January the 9th in Louisville, Kentucky, where he was born and lived until 1987. Although further details about the exact circumstances weren't immediately available. He had toured with Warrant and even Dio for a short run. I didn't know he was part of Dio's bands at all. But again, touring, so not recording artist with them. So he's obviously good enough to work with all these different bands. But, his towards the end there, his relationship with alcohol didn't help. But we'll get to that. So he was in various other projects, including 1990s band Crunk, which he sang lead vocals and played guitar. Now, Nate, Crunk is a name that seems familiar to me. I don't know if it's just because it's a hip-hop term. It is a hip-hop term, right? Am I showing how white I am?
I have no idea what it means or where it's originated from, but I have heard it, but I have no idea what it's tied to.
Well, I thought that was like a hip-hop word. I thought I was going to the source here,
wow,
Nate.
I'm
bringing it to you.
Fucking amateur hour with hip-hop.
It has several definitions, including which most consider to be related to the state of being in an alcohol-induced euphoria. So there you go.
Full of energy, drunk and high on drugs.
Yeah, it was introduced to public in 94 on the Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and where Conan introduced it as the newest swear word in America. It has since spread in the slang of young adults and teens who are especially keen on getting mildly inebriated, getting crunk, Nate. Damn. I'm educating you on this. I didn't realize.
I appreciate it, man. Helping me keep up,
Hey, I'm doing my job, man. Keeping you on the streets, man. You got to keep tight. All right. So, great white guitarist Mark Kendall chimed in. He had quit drinking more than 15 years ago and is now a proudly sober recovery advocate. He wrote in a post on X, which is, formerly Twitter. And he said, I reached out to James KOTTAK a month ago offering support and help with his alcoholism, but he wasn't ready. I could have gotten him into rehab free through connections, and I told him that. But unfortunately, KOTTAK wasn't ready, and now he's dead. I mean, it could have been too late by that point, but because with the damage he was doing to his body. But he recently spoke about his issues with alcohol in April of 2023 in an interview with the Tulsa Music Stream. He said, in part, I've had a few bouts with booze over the years, but what people don't know is all the years I was sober. 2008 to 2011. And there was a year here and there. And then he said in a separate interview that he had been sober since October of 2022, adding that he hadn't been able to completely give up drinking. And he said, well, I'm not going to say I haven't drank anything. He said, when I go out and I see some guys playing, I'm standing there and everybody wants to buy me a drink. And I go, no. And finally I take it and I have a couple of glasses of white wine and then I'm pissed at myself. And so there you go. Now, one thing part of the reason I kept that in here and I wanted to bring that up is if you have a friend or an acquaintance or anybody that is turning away any substances because they do not need it and they're trying to get clean in their life or they're trying to separate themselves from it, don't fucking peer pressure them into it. This is fucking stupid. Don't go, oh, come on, man. Used to be fun. Don't be that fucking cunt. If somebody's trying to get clean and they need to, and it fucking James needed to, he's one of those people, don't fucking be that person. You celebrate them, say, fuck yeah, man, good for you. And maybe you can learn from them if you're having a problem with alcohol. Now this guy's fucking dead because he was weak and couldn't turn down the peer pressure.
Well, it's a little more complex than that with addiction. I do agree with that, though. And I, without getting into big details, a certain group of my friends here in somewhat in my fairly recent past, that happened a lot. I've seen a lot of people spin out all of a sudden where brothers should have been looking out for each other and instead just helping people down a really wicked fucking path. And look, some people can do it and continue to live a life and not have a bunch of problems. And they can maybe even be doing heavy stuff, heavy drinking or coke or stuff like that and be fine. But most people can't. But the individual has to have responsibility, though, ultimately, with addiction. And that's the same for people who are like, I wish I would have done more.
Yes.
It's like, look, if you say something or you try to help a friend out, that's awesome. And of course you want to help out, but ultimately the person has to have some amount of willingness themselves. That's why courts can't order you to go to AA, and that's not going to be the magic bullet. Any of those type of things where people are like pushed into something, if they're not willing or not ready themselves to do it, they're not going to really have success with overcoming it. But you never know what you say to somebody might be the thing that flips the switch for them. So, of course, you want to speak up on your friend's behalf and help them out. But ultimately, we're all responsible for our own actions and the things that we do to ourselves in this life. And there is no shortage of information and knowledge as to what alcohol and drugs and things do. So anybody who's doing it at any time, you have to full well know that could be a problem at this point in society. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's all I wanted to add to that.
And I'm going to cut this short. There's a bunch of information here in this piece that I'm going to skip to the end here. But if you want to refer to this story, head over to DotWpod.com or search for Disciples of the Watch podcast and find us. You can click on the show notes and you can get more information, but I'm going to wrap up with this last bit that I saved from this news piece. And he's referring to during his time with the Scorpions before they kicked him out because of his problems. He says, Scorpions, we play our show, we go back to the hotel, and 45 minutes later, we're all downstairs having dinner. He continued in this piece that I'm referring to, or that I pulled from. And everything's just right, just the right price, free. All these flights back and forth from Europe, from LA, I was just flying constantly, which I'm not complaining about, but it's always business or first class. And once again, all the booze is at the right price. I'm going, I've got the next 2 days off. I might as well have a drink. And that's what triggered me to start drinking again sometimes. Well, I may as well have a drink. Why not? And that's typical alcoholic disease thinking, because it is a disease. Yeah. And right there's a big part of that. You heard it right there, that personal responsibility that he wasn't willing to take an effort in, because nobody there is peer pressuring him. That's him taking advantage of free alcohol and saying, well, the price is right. No, you're killing yourself, dude.
If you're an alcoholic and you get a job as a bartender and you keep relapsing, you can't be like, oh man, why can't I fucking figure it out? It's like, that's kind of an extreme example, but this is addicts do that kind of stuff too, and they put themselves around it and in situations where they're constantly having to, be on the edge with that shit. But alcohol is really hard because it is fucking everywhere. It is so ingrained in our culture. And if you're somebody who says you don't get into drinking, it's kind of a weird thing. You know what I mean? It's that one's particularly a tough one, honestly, because it is so ingrained in culture. But still, if being around it is a trigger for you, then you have to look at yourself and say, well, I have to figure out a way to not be around it. Yeah.
Didn't Rob Halford just celebrate like 30 years or something like that? Didn't he just celebrate a big anniversary of his sobriety?
I believe so, yeah.
So I think that's, it's like you mentioned, it's a personal responsibility. And if people are trying to peer pressure you, I think you need to double down and just say, you know what? I need to get healthy and I need to get away from this. And just, you don't have to, treat them like shit, but just try to set the record straight. It's like, no, I'm not, it's not me trying to be not fun or you're not be your good time boy. I just want to fucking survive and I need to stop.
And if somebody just says
and
no,
that should immediately shut the conversation.
You shouldn't even have to say anything more about it. If somebody offers me a drink and I say, no thanks, I shouldn't have to give any kind of fucking explanation about, or anybody, not just me. I'm just saying in general, like, why should you even have to explain why you don't want it? I don't fucking want it.
Exactly.
That's it. It's like,
but so now we're back at the peer pressure side of things where, don't fuck around. If people don't want to get high or drink or whatever it might be, don't fucking, it's more for you. How's that?
Exactly.
More for you then.
You get 2 drinks.
You fucker. Yeah, there you go. One for each hand, you cocksucker. Just stop it. Let's work together here, people.
Hey, Down is working on new music, and that's pretty good news.
Hell yeah. Fucking right it is. I'm swearing a lot today. I apologize.
We're going to have to put
I've been using a lot
parental advisory sticker on this episode.
A big old glowing neon one. Uses the C word.
Yeah, I've noticed you dropped the cunt word a couple times here in this one. I haven't heard you say that one into that extent, maybe ever.
I guess I'm fired up today, Nate.
Yeah, man.
I'm in rare mode.
Damn, man. I know. We got to speak up on shit. Fucking world's gone insane, man. I don't know.
Amen to that. But at least we got some new Down on the fucking radar, man. That's awesome.
This show is naughty and might make you a potty mouth.
So they haven't put out anything since Down 4 Part 2 EP in May of 2014. And the fellas are back together and they're doing some rehearsing, and it sounds like they wrote a couple songs. Kirk Weinstein was asked by Penfold if there was anything coming out, for Down in 2024, and he said, I hope. To be honest, we talked about doing like a cover song EP, and we threw around like 100 songs, and we can't pick and choose any of them. So to me, it's easier to just go, hey guys, let's just get in the fucking room and write some shit. Come out with 6 songs and do an EP, and I hope that's what happens. So this was a little earlier because Phil's doing Pantera.
Yep.
So that was kind of like a hindrance to this new music, but ultimately I just saw on Jimmy Bauer's personal Facebook page that they were together and they were writing stuff. So that was a confirmation to me that they're actually doing it, and they're going to put that together here, even though the Pantera stuff's going on. So Kirk went on to say, when we got Down together in 1991, that was the first demo tape. We wrote Bury Me in Smoke, Temptation's Wings, and Losing All in a day. We recorded it. Phil sang. We mixed it off on a 4-track or some shit, and that was it. And I just want to say that is a killer fucking album.
Cover to cover. Rock solid.
So he went on to say, look, it's no longer a joke that this is the kind of band we can grow old with. It doesn't matter what we look like. We could be fat. We could be bald. We're not attracting 18-year-old girls. If they want to be a fan of the music, great. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, hey, more power to you. It's all good. Whatever. But that's not our intention, and it's kind of ironic or whatever that it's kind of coming full circle where we see ourselves going, hey, guys, we're closing in on our mid-50s to 60s. This is a band we can actually do and kill it and then retire with it maybe. I'm definitely fired up to hear some new Down.
I'm down for that.
I wonder, speaking of Phil, with Pantera and Down, nobody has confirmed whether or not Kerry King's new band is if it's gonna be Phil on vocals, but they keep almost every article I see to it has a picture of those two together, and I just they have to be trying to make people think that, whether or not they know that that's what the deal is. But I'm just curious if Phil's doing vocals there as well. I mean, he's a hardworking guy and he's put in a lot of time in different music and stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised, but I am curious.
Yeah, and there was a recent piece that I'll put this in the show notes at the website too, that they're continuing to work on the new music, and they are at Anselmo's studio. So I don't know if they're just got the keys to the place or if they're getting together when Phil's got downtime. You get it, Nate? I totally didn't intend to do that.
Nice one.
Well, speaking of new, but this is actually old, but it's going to be new. Tony Iommi says that the box set of the Tony Martin era Black Sabbath albums will finally arrive, and that'll be in May of this year. So he shared a year-end video in which he outlined some of the projects that kept him busy in the last 12 months. Tony is 75 years old, and he was diagnosed with early stage lymphoma more than a decade ago, so he's still healthy and doing well with that. And here's his message. He said, "Hello all. I hope you had a great Christmas. We certainly have here. It's been good fun. Plenty of food and drink. Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous." Anyway, last year when I did my year-end video message, I did say we'd have a box set of the Tony Martin era Black Sabbath albums coming out. Well, now I've been informed that it'll be out in May. It's been held up with paperwork and legal stuff, but anyway, it's coming out in May now, if you're interested, and I hope you are. So we'll see what happens now in the next year, and I'll inform you as we go on. But yeah, I am writing and doing plenty of stuff, and it's sounding really good. I'm very happy with it. I also might use some orchestration. I might not. So we'll see how it goes. I'm very excited to see what he might be doing. He's got to hurry up, man. He's 75, and you're not getting any younger.
I didn't realize
But
he was on 6
exciting.
albums.
Right? Yeah, he was very prolific with Sabbath. Yeah, but it just didn't get the attention, between the times. And he's not as a notable frontman as like Ozzy and Dio. Obviously Dio brought a cachet to Black Sabbath when he joined, because he already had that success with, I'm not going to use Elf. He had that success with Rainbow, and then comes into Black Sabbath, and then eventually launches his solo career. So in the summer of 2022, Martin told the Rock and Metal Profs, the History of Philosophy and Rock and Metal podcast, that's a big title there, that there were some suggestion a while back that we might be able to put some extra tracks and stuff on it. And I went to see Tony Iommi and offered some things. But then he said we can't use anything new because anything new can't be released under the Black Sabbath name. It can only be stuff that's got the original 4 members on it. I'm expecting it to be a remixed version of whatever the original was. That's what I'm expecting, Tony added. So I wait as you do to find out. Let me know if you hear it first. Yeah, so that kind of sucks. If they had unfinished songs, they just can't finish them and shit, man, because of fucking legal bullshit. And Tony should have, I think they signed away all their rights, and Sharon and Ozzy have it now, and it just sucks. Who knows? Maybe after Sharon and Ozzy die, that maybe that stuff will see the light of day. But, again, Tony's 75, Tony Iommi. And he does mention, there's one thing. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to include this. He said, when the interviewer expressed hope that the box set will include some live recordings from the Martin era of Sabbath, either in audio or video format, Tony said, I recorded the writing sessions with Eddie Van Halen came over. Oh, there's like something missing there. Eddie Van Halen came over and helped us write one of the tracks for 1994's Cross Purposes album. And I had an 8-track recorder at the time in the 80s, and I used to take it everywhere, this thing. I've got all the writing sessions and rehearsals recorded. So I sent Iommi this, and he went, wow, that's fucking great. And I said, well, you're welcome to use it if you want to put that on. So I don't know. Maybe you'll get some of that on there. And then Martin added, it's great to hear Eddie play. So yeah, he's been on a few different albums, Eternal Idol, Headless Cross, Tear, Cross Purposes, and Cross Purposes Live. And Forbidden, one of our favorite albums to shit on.
One of the all-time best Sabbath albums.
Yes. And of course, Tony is going to be remixing that at some point and releasing that, and that's probably part of this box set. We'll see if that includes this remix that he said he's going to do, or if he's going to just leave it as is for the box set and then do a re-release of Forbidden with the re-release. Time will tell. And there's some other good tidbits in here. I'll jump on forward here because there's a lot of notes here. Some really cool information if you want to get a little bit more into the history of Black Sabbath with Tony Martin at the helm and his little bit of a unhappiness with Tony and Tony's book kind of calling him out as not being a good frontman. Head to the show notes at dotwpod.com and you can get a little bit more information, a little more history, if you will. Let's take a break though, and we're going to listen to some music. And this first band is Angels in Vain. They hail from the United States of America, where we have trucks, we have guns, and we have bacon. And what else we got,
Tits.
Nate? Beer and titties. I love me some titties, Nate. This is from the album Long Time Coming. The song that I selected is She Is. Check it out, Angels in Vain. All right, there you go. Angels of Vain. The song was She Is from the album Long Time Coming. I don't know if you caught it there, but it's a very Cars-like song, or a modern sounding Cars, the band Cars. That's why I picked this one. I kept going back. I listened to a few and I narrowed it down to like 3 tracks, and then I jumped back to this one. I'm like, this is the one I want to play. And they do a great cover of Don't You Forget About Me from Simple Minds. That is available on this album as well. We'll have links to these guys in the show notes, or you can visit angelsinvain.com. It's VEIN, Angels in Vain.
Man, I hated those 80s songs in the 80s, you know? And now when I hear them, they're very like catchy.
Yes, and good.
You know, I mean, for a nostalgic reason, I like to listen to it as well. But just, I mean, in the 80s, man, that stuff fucking drove me nuts.
Oh, really? See, I remember digging the Cars back in the 80s.
Not the Cars so much. More like the
Up.
Simple Minds and some of that stuff. You know, the Cars had some good stuff, definitely.
I wouldn't say I'm a Simple Minds fan, but I do like that song.
That's a good one.
Who knows? Maybe I need to check out more of their stuff.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a whole new thing for you.
Start a whole new podcast, just the Simple Mind Cast.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were just talking about Sharon and Ozzy, and
Speak of the devil.
Apparently Sharon doesn't rule out reviving Ozfest as a traveling festival.
Now that I could go for.
I've never been to an Ozfest.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was went to the first 3 or 4. I don't remember now. Maybe it was 3. Saw some kick-ass bands, man. I got turned on to so much music from those shows. I saw Slipknot. First time I saw Slipknot on the small stage.
Oh, cool.
I'm like 9 guys in jumpsuits from Iowa. I got to see this. And they're wearing masks. Yeah. I was like, that was actually pretty cool. And I became a fan.
That's really cool. Ozzy and Sharon, along with their children, Jack and Kelly, have released the 17th episode of their revived podcast. During the chat, Ozzy asked Sharon if she'd ever consider putting on another edition of the Ozfest Traveling Festival, and she responded, yeah, sure, of course. When Kelly noted that it always comes down to whether the bands and managers going to be realistic in terms of what they want to get paid for playing the festival, Sharon concurred and added, it's great. That's what we wanted, for everybody to do spin-offs and do their own festivals, and it's great. It's great for fans. It's brilliant. But why is it when it comes to us that everybody thinks that we are trillionaires, and so that every manager who wants their band on our festival wants one of the fucking trillions they think they've got to put on the festival? After Ozzy asked about the possibility of focusing more on lesser-known acts that won't be as demanding, Sharon said, you can do it for a baby stage, but you still need the headliners. It's always great to have the baby stage. I mean, that's what it's all about, breaking new bands. That's why we did it. Which speaks to what you were talking about, Gene, right? Where you seen Slipknot there.
Yes.
On the baby stage.
On the baby stage.
She added
they're wearing diapers.
Yeah. She added it's very hard for acts who are not known to suddenly go and be in front of 50,000 people on a main stage in a festival and understand what they're meant to do. It's very intimidating. You could have maybe 5,000 people at that baby stage, and then to go from 5 to 50,000 people, and it's really, really hard for baby bands. She's big on this baby band, baby stage thing. They've paid their dues anyways, and that's what it's all about. When Jack pointed out that many of the recently launched rock festivals in the United States are basically just Ozfest, Sharon said, well, it's the same bands just going around and around and around, but that's what's so good because we started something, people have taken it, and it's great for the genre. It's really good. I mean, I've never been to a festival, but how different can they really be? I mean, are they all like doing some fancy tricks at different festivals, or is it just a weekend of a bunch of bands? You know what I mean?
It can be that, but yeah, there's a lot of times attractions. Then you might get tattoo artists out there. It's grown into a little bit more than just sit in the grass and watch a band or go to one stage and then go to the other stage. There's definitely can be a little bit more of a draw. I remember Jim Rose Circus was involved in something that I attended. I forget what the hell that was even.
That was Lollapalooza. That guy was part of the Lollapalooza deal.
I must have seen him then on like a one-off thing, like Edgefest or something.
That reminds me, I did go to a Lollapalooza, so I have been to a festival. Yes.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Well, apparently they had problems with Danzig.
You got to read that.
Years and years ago, one of the bands, it was the second Ozfest we did, or the third, wouldn't go on stage until I agreed to give them $10,000 more, and they were holding everything up. And I said, of course, I'll give it to you. Pressed by Jack to name the act in question, Sharon said Glenn Danzig, to which Jack replied, why are you going to protect that twat? Sharon went on to say that she didn't give them the money they were demanding. They went on and played, and I went, fuck you. You signed a contract, your agent agreed, and you're just gouging.
That sounds like something Glenn would do.
It does, yeah.
Unfortunately, as much as we dig ourselves some Danzig.
He's like, I'm here to flex, man. Where's my extra $10,000?
Yeah. I don't break a sweat without that extra cash, bitch.
I don't know. I don't think I'm cut out for festivals, man. I mean, if I just go see like a band with more than one opener, I start feeling like it might be a little too long.
That's a good point, but it's cool, you know, if you're I did camp out for one of the Ozfests, and that was something I learned to never do again, just because you're not sleeping. Everything's too loud, and you got people tripping over your tent. It's just bonkers. So the last one I went to, what was that? Northern Invasion. That was at Somerset over there in Wisconsin, just right over the border. Yeah, and that was a 2-day festival. 2? Yeah, I think it was 2, or maybe it was 3. I want to say it was 2. So that was the last one I went to. But it was kind of nice because you're kind of hanging out and you're overpaying for food, which sucks. But, you know, if you kind of eat before you go and get to the show and maybe just have a few things to get you through the day and check out the sets and who's going to play. And I saw Tool there. So sometimes these festivals are a good way to draw bands, and because you can get a pretty good bang for your buck depending on how much they're going to be charging, as long as it's run effectively and correctly. Getting into and out of Somerset, Wisconsin is a fucking nightmare. So that's one thing that sucks about it. When Jake and I, my brother-in-law, went to Indianola, Iowa to see Knotfest, getting out of there was a train wreck. We were stuck there for hours before we finally got out of the area, the festival grounds where it's a hot air balloon festival grounds that they use. So the infrastructure isn't built the greatest. And I know there's been some bad juju going on with some of these other ones that are around the United States. But if Ozfest, I was seeing them primarily in Somerset. So you still got to deal with the infrastructure. There's nothing Ozfest is going to be able to do, Sharon or anybody. But as far as a well-run and, like clockwork type of festival, and the bands show up and you're don't feel like you're getting gouged, Ozfest for me was that. So we got another bit of Ozzy stuff, because why not? It's very Black Sabbath oriented. Where's Geezer? What has he been up to? Damn it, we don't have him in the
I don't
news.
know. Neither of
Son
us
of a
really
bitch.
care for Ozzy in the scope of how popular Ozzy is, but here we are spending quite a bit of time.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's been the hot news, I guess. Not that there's a lot there. So regarding Ozzy, he said he wants to do some more shows before he's finished, which is kind of a surprise because I know Jack came out and publicly said he didn't think there'd be a tour. But touring is one thing, doing a one-off, but I don't think he's going to be able to stand for a full show, and he's not going to be able to be Ozzy like he wants to be. And I don't know if he understands that, unless something drastic has happened with all these surgeries he's been having. But we'll get into some of the meat here in a second. But I don't know if I can see another album, but I don't know about doing much for as far as a show, let alone a damn tour. And one thing he's kind of pissed off about, Nate, is the several death hoax videos that are involving him. So he says that they have these YouTube clips with people saying, people who have died today, and they put it on that I died, Ozzy said. And the thing on YouTube, it's got celebrities who have died today, and then there's a picture of me. And I go, I'm not dead. I'm not really dead. Just a little flesh wound. So Ozzy still got his sense of humor, of course. He later insisted he still has a few things left to accomplish during his time on this planet. I'm not dead. I'm not going any fucking where. And I'm going to go up and do some more gigs before I'm finished anyway. Last month, he's known obviously to struggle with a bunch of health issues, but he spoke with Rolling Stone UK about the possibility of returning to the stage. He says, I'm taking it one day at a time, and if I can perform again, I will. But it's been like saying farewell to the best relationship of my life. At the start of my illness, when I stopped touring, I was really pissed off with myself, the doctors, and the world. But as time has gone on, I've just gone, well, I may have just got to accept that fact. I'm not going to get up there and do a half-hearted Ozzy looking for sympathy. What's the fucking point in it? I'm not going up there in a fucking wheelchair. I've seen Phil Collins perform recently, and he's got virtually the same problems as me. He gets up there in a wheelchair, but I couldn't do that. And he went on to pay tribute to his fans who made it possible for him to have a 5+ decade career, first with Sabbath and then as a solo artist, and of course with Sabbath again. That's one of the things I've been the most fucking pissed off at. I never got a chance to say goodbye or thank you, he said, because my fans are what it's all about. If I can just do a few gigs, they've been loyal to me for fucking years. They write to me. They know all about my dogs. It's my extended family, really. And they give us the lifestyle we have. For whatever reason, that's my goal to work to do those shows. If it's an Ozfest somewhere or even a fucking gig at the Roundhouse in London. If I can't continue doing shows on a regular basis, I just want to be well enough to do one show where I can say, hi guys, thank you so much for my life. That's what I'm working towards. And if I drop down dead at the end of it, I'll die a happy man. So Ozzy, not done yet, Nate.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, his whole life has been this identity. Ozzy, the rock star.
Yes.
All the adoration. This is his whole entire life. I mean, I know people just from working in a fucking manufacturing plant who have a hard time retiring because they don't know what to do with themselves because their whole life has been tied up in their job. I can only imagine what it would be like for somebody like Ozzy to like call it quits when his whole fucking life has been that, you know? But I feel like that's kind of what it is. Like maybe it is time to retire now, but he's probably not going to because what the fuck is he going to do with himself?
Well, that, and he, like you said there, he wants a chance to say goodbye.
But if he can put on a good show that sounds good and everything, then why not? And, you know, if it's long as it's not playing off of a laptop.
like the football thing that they did? Yeah.
Be like, why does Ozzy sound like the 1980s?
He sounds awesome. He's on some sort of youth drug or something.
I was hesitant to even discuss this one, even though I'm a huge King Diamond fan, but we've been hearing about this supposed new album now for like, I don't even know how long it's been. But actually, it's been like 17 years since the last King Diamond album. I just didn't realize it has been that long.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you, man.
Yeah, we've been hearing about something new now for like since before the pandemic times for
2017, I think, is when this first started this discussion. I could be wrong. Maybe it was 2019, but the pandemic definitely didn't help things.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be the new album is supposed to be called The Institute. And it's going to be like a 2 LP horror story. We've talked about all this stuff over the times that this has come up. But they were talking to Andy LaRocque, and he said, we have songs I've sent King, like a bunch of songs a long time ago, actually, and we started working on that with arrangements and such. And then Merciful Fate tour came in between, and they've been busy with that, and I think they're going to be recording 1 or 2 singles with Merciful Fate. But I talked to King just like a week ago, and he said that he was going to be starting yesterday or something like that. So he's starting with setting everything up, and he's going to start to record the vocals for Mercy songs. And as soon as he's done with that, we're going to continue with King Diamond. So we have songs, they just need to be a little bit arranged. And of course, King has a lot of riffs and ideas in his head, so he needs to get that down on the computer and do some riffing and stuff. So we started it, but it's a long process to have it good and the way we want it. Asked if King Diamond album will in fact be in a 2024 release. Andy said it's impossible to say. That's something you'd have to ask King. I really hope so, but as soon as we're done with a couple songs, we'll probably release those, and that's all I can say. But
I'd be curious to hear them.
Yeah. He says it's going to be filled with great melodies, so that really piqued my interest because the early solo King Diamond stuff, the best stuff, there's so many good melodies on there. And I feel like after The Eye, his music really started to lack some of that catchy melodies. So I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, makes it even more enticing, more looking forward to it. Just hurry up and get the shit done, guys. All right, let's take another break here and listen to some music. We got Enmity. These guys hail from, a few different locations: France, Jordan, Indonesia, and Greece. This is from the album Demagoguery. The song I selected is Resistance. Check it out, Enmity. All right, there you go. That was Enmity with the song Resistance. Check them out. We'll have show notes where you can go and connect with these bands at DotWpod.com. We'll have links. Go check them out. Go support them. Buy their music if you are able to. And if you enjoyed what you heard there and with the previous band, please support the independent artists. And hey, if you're in a band and you'd like to be considered to be played on the Disciples Will Watch podcast, please email us at music@dotwpod.com. And that is the news. And hey, before we wrap up, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that stay tuned and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to our RSS feed. Actually, by the way, Nate, I forgot to mention this earlier. I corrected one of the flaws in our RSS feed. Apparently, it was only feeding the last 10 releases. And somebody reached out to me and said, hey, I'm not finding that My Life in 4 Songs from so-and-so. Well, that's because the RSS feed was only set to the last 10 episodes. That has since been corrected. And going forward, it'll be a lot more beneficial and helpful. And I've already seen an uptick in the downloads for those older episodes as a result. But of course, friends and family, you can always go to DotWpod.com and you will be able to get episodes there. And of course, now our stuff is going over to YouTube as well. So subscribe. And we've got a big 10-year anniversary coming up. We're going to be celebrating it towards the end of the month here. And we're going to do a special tip of the hat type of episode.
It's going to be a special nude episode.
Fully nude episode. We're not talking just bottoms or tops. It's going to be fully nude. So stay tuned for all that. We're not going to Yogi Bear this one. Full on. And then, of course, I just released Gene's Picks Volume 3. We've got Volume 4 that'll be coming out soon. I'll have my top 40 from 2023, like I mentioned earlier. And another My Life in 4 Songs I'm hoping will be out this month. I'm waiting to hook up with the podcaster. Little tip as to what a little sneak peek into who that might be, or at least where the world they come from. And so stay tuned for that. I hope to have that out in January or at the very least early February. We'll see. So Nate, moving on, our final talker. I am really looking forward to checking this out and seeing what kind of good stuff or maybe not so good stuff is here. But 40 big rock and metal albums turning 40 in 2024. And that's Loudwire, our friends at Loudwire.
I typically don't try to do these longer lists, just because they just kind of get long. And I don't know. I know if I was listening, I might check out. But 1984, I was 10 years old. And that would be the year that I would consider I became a fan of metal music, like consciously started to buy and listen and want to hear metal music, and going through this list, man, so much of this stuff I remember. And then there's all these killer bands who I hadn't gotten into yet, who I would be getting into in a couple of years, like some of the thrash stuff and things like that. Where at
Bryan
in 1984,
Adams.
Yeah, that's the first one. That was definitely my favorite of this whole list. No, I remember him being on MTV though.
This is a good album.
Yeah. I'm not a big Bryan Adams fan in general.
Oh, really? I love this album. Come on, Run to You.
Yeah. I mean, these would probably be the ones if I heard them,
I'd
be cool with hearing it for nostalgic, but he was a little lightweight for me. But yeah, the first one on the list is Bryan Adams' Reckless, and it Billboard peaked at 1.
Oh, wow.
Number 1.
Well, I'm thinking of a different
Key
album.
tracks, Run to You, Somebody Heaven, Summer of 69, It's Only Love, One Night Love Affair.
Yeah, not a bad album. This isn't the one I was thinking of, but the Run to You is one of my top Bryan Adams songs.
I'm hearing it right now in my head.
I saw your eyes kind of looking up and going, yeah, it's a toe tapper.
All right, we got Anthrax, Fistful of Metal. I know you're a fan of this one.
Yes.
I did not know of Anthrax in 1984 yet, but this is definitely Anthrax is my intro to thrash metal, but that would be the next album,
Spreading the Disease.
Yes, this did not peak anywhere on the Billboard. It didn't chart.
Shocker.
Then we've got Autograph, Sign In Please. That Billboard peaked number 29. Key tracks, Turn Up the Radio, 19, and Nonstop. I know Turn Up the Radio. I don't know the other one.
Yeah, same here.
Bathory. I had no idea the self-titled Bathory came out in 1984. It's amazing. They're, probably the catalyst for black metal.
Still doing well, right?
I don't know if Bathory is still current, I guess.
Oh, okay. I might be getting them mixed up. That's more your territory with the black metal.
We got Black Flag's My War. Can you believe that never made it to the Billboard?
I am shocked. This is my shocked face, Nate, the one you're seeing here.
Yeah, it's pretty shocked. Key tracks are My War, Beat My Head Against the Wall, Can't Decide, Nothing Left Inside. I fucking love Black Flag. I love this album, but yeah, I didn't know about these guys yet in 1984. Bon Jovi's self-titled, and that hit number 43 on the Billboard. Key tracks are Runaway, She Don't Know Me, Burning for Love. Runaway is a really cool song.
Hell yeah, that's the only one I know.
Yeah, I don't know the other ones.
Those ones you mentioned.
Either. We've got Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales, another one that didn't hit the
There's a
Billboard.
big one.
I fucking love this album too, but this would be a band I wouldn't learn about until a couple of years later. Key tracks, Into the Crypt of Rays, Dethroned Emperor, Procreation of the Wicked. We got Deep Purple, Perfect Strangers, 1984.
Nice.
That peaked at number 17 on the Billboard.
So it charted.
It's got Perfect
Shocker.
Strangers, Knocking at Your Back Door, and A Gypsy's Kiss.
Perfect Strangers. I love that song.
It's a good one.
Knocking at Your Back Door is a good song too, but there's something about Perfect Strangers. It's their cashmere in a fashion without being too clever about how much it influenced them or seemingly influenced them. Great song. Love it.
Dio, Last in Line.
Nice.
That peaked at number 23. I had that one back then. Dokken, Tooth and Nail. Another
Nice.
Billboard, number 49.
That's a good one. To the fire. Yeah. Just got lucky. Tooth and Nail. Alone Again. Oh, now I want to go listen to it.
We got Foreigner, Agent Provocateur.
Oh.
Billboard number 4.
This is that one. That's got your hit on
I
it.
Want to Know
Nate.
What Love Is. Good
Yeah.
one.
That's the only one I recognize. That was Yesterday and Down in Love. I don't recognize those ones.
Maybe if we heard them, I don't recognize them by name.
That's true. Good point.
Next up, Sammy Hagar, VOA. Billboard number 32. Tracks, I Can't Drive 55 and Two Sides of Love and Dick in the Dirt. And of course, I recognize Can't Drive 55.
Of course. We were beat all over the head with that song back in the day. I'm shocked it only hit 32. But yeah, there's not those other songs that are mentioned there are not strong. Dick in the Dirt, that's a key track. Come on.
Hey, look at Iron Maiden charted higher in 1984 with Power
Yes,
Slave
exactly.
at number 21 on the Billboard.
Hell, yes.
We don't even need to mention key tracks off that album because the whole album is a key track.
You could, I was going to say, key tracks.
All of it.
The album.
Okay, this one I definitely remember having back in 1984, and that's Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith. And Love Bites was definitely a song that always stuck out for me back then. It's probably still one of my favorites on the album, but that peaked at Billboard number 18.
Yeah, lots of good stuff on that one.
And this is the last Kiss album I ever bought as a fan, and that's Asylum. This peaked at number 20. I didn't continue on with Kiss after this album as a fan.
I think I was out before this. I did like Tears Are Falling, though, I remember, but I think I was done buying when they took the makeup off. No, I liked Animalized.
Yep, I really liked Animalized.
I remember
and
digging
Lick
that.
It Up.
Yeah, good. Yep. Yeah, so I think after that, so Asylum is where I was out.
Yeah, Tears Are Falling is the one that sticks out for me, but they also have All Night and Who Wants to Be Lonely. Okay, I didn't know about Yngwie yet.
Ooh.
I learned about him later, but I didn't realize this came out in 1984, but Rising Force came out in 1984, and that was Billboard at number 60. That has Black Star and Far Beyond the Sun.
I can't believe they only list 2 key tracks. That's such a kick-ass album. Actually,
It is.
the 80s work that Yngwie did was his best.
I saw Yngwie with Matt open for Dio. I think it was the Lock Up the Wolves tour.
Man.
I remember the lights went out, and then the intro to Black Star came on, and then the song kicked in, and it was memorable. I still remember it.
Nice.
We've got Man of War next, Hail to England. That didn't chart. I didn't know about Man of War back then, and honestly, I couldn't even name a song, or I don't even know if I've listened to them before. For some reason, they just seemed like a joke, and I never wanted to check them out.
You don't like sweaty dudes in loincloths playing instruments and all oiled up?
I guess not.
It's very Village People-like in a fashion,
Okay.
except for they're not playing characters other than who they are.
Huh.
Just greased up dudes.
I think I'm just going to have to continue
Fit
to not
dudes.
know about Man of War.
That's one I'd like to maybe go look at their Spotify playlist or have somebody give me 5 songs to see if I could become a fan. But the stuff I've heard from them and the lyrical content and stuff just does not appeal to me.
Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath came out in 1984. Another band I went on to love later, but I did not know about them yet at 1984. Key tracks, A Dangerous Meeting, Come to the Sabbath, and Gypsy. Come to the Sabbath is like one of my favorite metal songs, probably of any metal bands. It's definitely in the top 10, I would say.
Yeah, kick-ass song.
Got Metallica, Ride the Lightning, another band I would go on to love later on, but I didn't know about them in 1984 yet. Number 48 on the Billboard. That's pretty awesome for early thrash music.
Well, yeah. Well, it helped with For Whom the Bell Tolls and Fade to Black, because those were getting radio play.
Got the original soundtrack to This Is Spinal Tap.
It didn't chart.
It didn't chart.
Oh, son of a
Big
bitch.
Bottom wasn't enough to get
this
them on
album.
the charts, man.
Yeah. Sex Farm. Come on.
Stonehenge. I just watched this movie over the holidays, actually.
Oh, did you?
I got the DVD,
Awesome.
so fuck, I love that movie, man.
Yeah, I think I got the Blu-ray now. I think somebody bought it for me. I haven't watched it since I got it, but I definitely gotta watch that again. It's been coming up a lot of conversation. I know they're making the new movie, but even more so, I was listening to I think it was Michael McKean being interviewed, and people talking about some early comedy, and this comes up quite a bit, just like such a turning point for like spoof-mentary documentary type stuff, and of course bands being thinking that everything was stolen from them. Well, we got lost trying to find the stage, so they stole that from us. And Stonehenge being Black Sabbath, where they gave the wrong dimensions and all that shit. Although there may be some truth to that one.
I've watched that movie countless times, and just watching it recently, it's still just as funny as it's ever been. I mean, every moment of that fucking movie is a one-liner, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And I love the soundtrack. I when I started collecting vinyl, I tracked it down. So I do own this on vinyl.
Oh, nice. We got Steve Perry, Street Talk, Billboard Peak number 12. Featuring tracks Oh Sherry, Strung Out, She's Mine, and Foolish Heart. Do you know any of this?
Foolish Heart and Oh Sherry. Obviously, Oh Sherry was played constantly.
That song.
Oh,
I remember that one.
Sherry. Yeah. Yes, that was huge.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, and Foolish Heart is another big one too. Another ballady hit for him. And this album was so big, and it was obviously right when he came out from Journey, that a lot of people associate these songs with Journey. They're not very well versed in music knowledge. They're like, oh, I love that Journey song, Oh Sherry. And it's like, well, that's actually just Steve, or Foolish Heart. I'm not sure about those other two. Actually, I think I own this. I think I bought it for Angel on vinyl. Got it cheap, like for a few bucks or something.
Sure.
I don't think we listened to it since we bought it. So that's how big of a album it is in this household.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite. We got the Pretenders, Learning to Crawl, Billboard Peak number 5, key tracks, Back on the Chain Gang, Middle of the Road, My City Was Gone, 2,000 Miles, Thin Line Between Love and Hate.
I gotta check that album out. I do dig me some of those songs you mentioned, at least a couple of them. I appreciate Chrissy and her work and who she is as a front woman and a musician. I definitely got to dig into the Pretenders a little bit.
Not a fan at all. That Back on the Chain Gang.
Really?
Fucking, just hearing it in my head now grates on my nerves. They're popular, though, obviously. Look at where they charted and stuff, and they're a well-known band.
Yeah, absolutely. And she was, I think she was a good, what's the word I'm looking for? She I think helped women rockers, in a fashion. She was a model for, get out there and be bold and be brave and don't take any shit. And I think she kind of helped carry the torch. She helped light the torch. She was another one that, or, at least carried it forward from the 70s bands and such, that are some of those 70s artists that were doing that. You think of the Wilson sisters and some of the other artists, maybe more in the folk leanings and stuff, where they're, were strong women doing some leading bands or being solo artists, and Stevie Nicks. So yeah, Chrissy Hynde is one that stands out in my mind as one of those early innovators, or one of those early inspirations for the female fans.
We got Queen, The Works, Billboard Peak number 23, featuring Radio Gaga, I Want to Break Free, Hammerfall. Not familiar with this one.
It's Hammerfall is a band. Yeah, those are okay songs. Yeah, I'm not a huge Queen fan. They're more of a greatest hits type of band for me. other than I do need to buy the game. And I got a couple other greatest hits collections, I think. But yeah, it's an album I don't own, and Radio Gaga is a song I could take it or leave it. Not a big one for me. Or same with When I Want to Break Free. This later Queen just didn't click as much for me.
Queensryche, The Warning came out in 1984. I did not realize. Billboard Peak number 61.
Nice.
Key tracks, Take Hold of the Flame, Warning, and No Sanctuary. I would not find out about Queensryche until
right there.
Operation Mindcrime.
Same. I'm right there with you, man.
We got Quiet Riot, Condition Critical, Billboard Peak number 15, Key tracks, Mama We're All Crazy Now, Party All Night, and Condition Critical. I definitely had this album in 1984, but I actually got into Queensryche with Mental Health, the one right before this. And then I never listened to any of it after this.
Quite right. Yeah, I did get the third album. I think it was the third album, QR3. Yeah, with The Wild and the Young, but it just wasn't quite the same band. I dig these albums, but they're kind of B-level good listening to type of songs. And of course, all those songs you mentioned, I really like. So this is one of those that I'll pull out as well.
Quiet Riot did not age well for me. If I go back and other than a few key songs in general, I'm like, not very good stuff. I'm not surprised it didn't continue on with it as a fan.
Oh, come on. Well, this next album I think is still a strong album today.
Absolutely. Rat, Out of the Cellar, Billboard Peak number 7. Round and Round, Wanted Man, and Lack of Communication. And it's awesome that they picked Wanted Man and Lack of Communication because those are definitely my two favorite songs on that album.
That's another one they could have listed. Just play the album for key tracks. It's a cover gem for me.
A standout for me back then. And I remember seeing Round and Round on MTV.
Yep.
Hearing it in school, kids coming in with cassette tapes. Definitely.
This is one I almost used for My Life in 4 Songs. I was almost going to go with this album, or this with Rat in that album, because it was such a big deal for me back then.
It's a good one, man.
But I didn't.
REM, Reckoning, Billboard Peak number 27. No.
I know none of those
key
songs.
tracks are Central Rain, Don't Go Back to Rockville, Harbor Coat, Pretty Persuasion.
I'm not against REM. It's just never a band that really appealed to me.
Got Rush, Grace Under Pressure, Billboard Peak number 10, key tracks, Distant Early Warning, Red Sector A, and After Image.
I like me some Grace Under Pressure. But Rush is one of those bands, especially now for me, that just hearing them perform, even on lesser songs, are still so enjoyable. This musicianship on bad songs is still good. And it's like, yeah, this is still pretty cool. I'll listen to this song. I don't know if there's a Rush song I would skip. But of course, there's some songs that are more drawing, Distant Early Warning and Red Sector A being a couple of those for me.
Yeah, I'm not big on the later Rush stuff, but like you said, I mean, they put out quality work always. So anything you're listening to is very good. Some of them don't grab me for sure, the later stuff. This is another one I remember from back then, and that's Scorpions' Love at First Sting, peaked at number 6.
Yes.
Rock You Like a Hurricane, Still Loving You, Big City Nights. I have this one on vinyl.
I need to get this one.
I bought it mainly because of Still Loving You is a really fucking kick-ass song.
Great fucking ballad. Hell yeah. Even Big City Nights, I used to play that. Actually, Rock You Like a Hurricane, we used to play that in Metal Vengeance.
Nice. Slade, Keep Your Hands Off My Power Supply, Billboard Peak number 33, key tracks Run, Runaway, Oh My, and Slam the Hammer Down.
Only familiar with Run, Runaway.
Ugh, this next one.
I really like that song too.
Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, Billboard number 1. Key tracks, Dancing in the Dark, Born in the USA, Glory Days, I'm on Fire, My Hometown, Cover Me. I mean, fuck. Know every single one of those songs.
A lot of good stuff there.
I just never liked Bruce Springsteen, and it's funny because back in elementary school, which is how old I was when I was in elementary, in 10th grade, or when I was 10 years old, whatever, there was a kid who liked Bruce Springsteen a lot, and maybe this was in junior high, I can't remember, but I remember just thinking, like, who is actually a fucking fan of Bruce Springsteen? Which is crazy because, I mean, Bruce Springsteen is huge, and here you see he peaked at number 1, so obviously he's got fans all over, but, like, of all the music that was happening around my peers and people that I knew, it was like nobody that I knew was into Bruce Springsteen, so it was just super odd that this kid was really into Bruce Springsteen, but...
Especially at 10 years old.
We got Billy Squier, Signs of Life. That peaked at number 11. Key tracks, Rock Me Tonight, All Night Long, and Take a Look Behind You.
Ah, a couple good songs on that one. I think there might be more, but yeah. Rock Me Tonight, All Night Long.
Survivor, Vital Signs, Billboard Peak number 16, Key Tracks, I Can't Hold You Back, The Search Is Over, and High on You.
Oh, yeah, there's some radio hits right there.
Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry, Billboard Peak number 15. They mentioned The Price as a key track, which is one of the ones I really like off there.
Nice.
I got this for Christmas that year that they came
What's
out.
louder sound?
My dad got it for me, actually, because my mom, she right off the bat, I always had trouble with the heavy metal stuff with my mom, but my dad did buy me this for Christmas. U2, The Unforgettable Fire, Billboard Peak number 12. Key Tracks, Pride, Unforgettable Fire, Bad, A Short Homecoming. I don't really care for U2 then, now, probably never.
Yeah, they're more of a greatest hits type of act for me. I own, what is it, a Joshua Tree. Somebody gave that to me, I think, in one of those sets that I had been given. And I remember that album just being so crazy and huge. And I had a friend who just constantly was playing it. So I dig me some U2, but I think just their frontman kind of helped taint people's relationships with the band just because he felt like such a huge tool. He's obviously a good person, and when you really get to dig in deep and his concerns for Ireland and the concerns for the world. But it's like, dude, just can you sing a song without everything having to have a huge diatribe in front of it?
Okay, this next one is like the quintessential 1984 album, so much so that it was named after the year.
Absolutely.
1984. Van Halen, Billboard Peak number 2, Key Tracks, Jump, All Wait, Panama, Hot for Teacher. Totally remember this. This would be where I became a fan of Van Halen, I guess. To whatever extent of a Van Halen fan I am, I'm not a huge Van Halen fan at all. But definitely this was awesome. Jump was the very first song I remember seeing on MTV. It was like constantly on, and watching David Lee Roth was like, holy shit, And then Hot for Teacher was another one that, got pretty regular play on MTV.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, this was where I started with my Life in 4 songs. Was this album.
So it was a big one for you as well.
So yeah. Yes. I remember, well, if you listen to My Life in 4 songs, you'll hear this story, but just real quick synopsis. I had tore out pictures of all the band members from probably Circus Magazine and taped them to one of my folders or to multiple folders. I forget what it was. And I had a teacher who stopped by my desk one day, and she stopped and kind of backed up, and she's looking down at the picture. She's like, so what's this? And, oh, Van Halen, great band. She's looking at a picture of Michael Anthony with his Jack Daniels bass. And I'm sitting in elementary school with a bottle of Jack Daniels represented on my folder. And she just kind of was like, oh, okay, and walked away. And I didn't get in trouble, or I wasn't told to put it away or hide it.
I thought you were going to tell me
like
she
that.
brought you a copy
So that's
of
where, yeah.
the 1984 cassette or something like that.
No, I was already big into it before, and I can't even remember who that was. I just remember she gave me no grief, but in the moment I didn't understand, or I didn't think about it. It wasn't until years later when I reflected back on that. I'm like, oh, I wonder, that had to be what she was tripping over. Because wait a minute, what is this guy doing? This isn't Hello Kitty or Scratch and Sniff stickers. This is something else. This is Van Halen, or this is a guy playing a Jack Daniels bass. If she knows what a bass is, I guess. I don't know.
Do you have that in your Trapper Keeper?
It had to have been. I wish I would still have it. I'd like to see how good of a job I did putting it all together, taping all the pictures in there.
I would have never known anything about this next one back in 1984. And that's Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble.
Oh, really?
I definitely wasn't listening to any kind of blues music like that. That Billboard Peak number 31. You were familiar with Stevie Ray back in the 80s?
I was. And I think I had my uncle to thank for that. My Uncle Todd.
That makes sense. Motorcycle culture, whatnot. Yeah.
Yep. And all these songs, Cold Shot, Tin Pan Alley, Voodoo Child, Scuttlebutton. This is such a kick-ass album. I'm surprised it only peaked at 31, but then again, I guess it is blues-oriented rock.
Somebody gave me a copy of a live Stevie Ray Vaughan, I think called like Blues at Sunrise. And there's a live version of Tin Pan Alley on there. It is fucking fire. My favorite Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm not a huge fan of him either. That version of Tin Pan Alley on there and Texas Flood, both amazing. So we got John Waite,
Nice.
No Breaks, Billboard Peak number 10, Key Tracks, Missing You, Tears, and Restless Heart. I guess without hearing any of these, I'm not familiar with any of them offhand.
Oh, really? Missing You? That doesn't jump into your head from
I'd have to
radio
hear
play
it.
or MTV?
But just by title, no.
Every time I think of you, I always catch my breath, and I'm standing here and you're miles away, and I'm wondering why you left. And there's a song that's breaking in my lonely heart tonight.
Oh, yeah,
I ain't missing you at all. It's something
Yep.
along those lines.
I got it now.
I knew you'd get it.
Thanks for
Nice.
following that through. I caught it right at the end. Okay, that's way lightweight, way lighter weight than I was even thinking.
Yes.
Holy buckets. Okay.
Well, there you go. Glad I could help you walk you through that
Okay,
one.
this next one was definitely on my radar back in the day, and that's Wasp, self-titled, and this actually peaked on the Billboard at number 74. So they got it. They charted with this. And it has Key Tracks, Animal, I Want to Be Somebody in School Days.
They could have listed a few more on this one, too.
Yeah, still my favorite Wasp album. None of the other ones ever added up to this for me, with the exception of Live in the Raw, which is
That was a good one,
that's my
too.
go-to for Wasp, really.
What
is
about
that album?
Crimson Idol, Nate?
No, I like other Wasp stuff. I just mean, like, for me, the first one and the live one, none of their other stuff touched those for me at all. But I still,
You know what?
like the other.
I'm right there with you.
Other ones, like Last Command and stuff's good.
Yeah, same. But yeah, when you're thinking the peak Wasp releases, yeah, that's it for me too. Because I remember I had to get that live one. I remember really digging that back. And actually, I didn't even like Wasp when they first came out because I remember them looking scary and weird. And I remember just like, I don't know if it was like stories in the news or if it was stories in magazines. It almost seemed like a band that was scary and dark, and I didn't want anything to do with them.
That's all the shit that grabbed me.
So later on, I'd become a fan. But when this first came out, and I remember this one punk ass kid that nobody really cared for, he had the cassette, and that may be part of it because he kept bringing the cassette around, and we're like, dude, nobody likes you. You're an asshole. Go away and take your fucking Wasp out of here. We got Doc and we got Quiet Riot. We don't need the Wasp.
Turns out he was onto something with that cassette.
That punk ass bitch.
Oh shit!
I'll give him his kudos.
Well, I got mine from doing the 10 cassettes for a penny deal that my mother ultimately called.
Yes.
I've said this before, but she ultimately just called and said, look, my kid's like 10 years old. You shouldn't have been selling him shit. We ain't paying for nothing. And then I got my ass chewed for doing that because it was dishonest. But yeah, I got 10 good cassettes out of
Columbia
it.
House.
Wasp was one of them.
Yeah, that's how I got a lot of stuff back in the day from Columbia House.
Yeah, Columbia House.
I paid for mine though.
I did it for a while. I tried to do the subscription for a while, but they send you stuff and you have to buy it, and I don't know, it all fell apart.
You have to send the mailer back every month. Otherwise, they send you the stuff.
Right.
You can say no, I don't want this. You had to buy however many. Yeah, and then I did the BMG ones too.
I got Docking back for the Attack through that program.
Oh,
too.
nice.
Well, the last one on the list here is another one that was on my radar back then. Is Whitesnake Slide It In, and that peaked at number 40. Key Tracks, Guilty of Love, Give Me More Time, Standing in the Shadow, Love Ain't No Stranger, and Slow and Easy. Slow and Easy is fucking awesome.
That's a jam. Yeah, I remember seeing Love Ain't No Stranger at a friend's house. They had MTV, or so, I'm guessing it was MTV. And I just remember like stopping and going, whoa, what is this? This is cool. I like this song. Who's this Whitesnake? Of course, years later, it's like, they got a lot of albums before this. How is this not more on my radar? And then, of course, the 1980s album just blew them up into the stratosphere as far as popularity and notoriety and fame. Yeah, good album, though.
So, some good stuff, man, came out 40 years
Absolutely.
ago.
I'm going to have a bitch of a time when I get to 1984 and for Time Travel Radio. I mean, 1980, I'm going to tell you right now, Nate, was difficult. It's difficult, and I'm actually going to break it up into 3 episodes. So, a little spoiler alert for you Time Travel Radio fans. I'm going to do like a deep cuts, a radio cuts, and something along the lines of in between. So they're all going to be independent episodes. So you could, if you want to listen to all of them, you got your options. Or if you want to listen to the deep cuts, there's some kick-ass stuff. And The radio cuts will be stuff you probably are already familiar with, but maybe some of those deep cuts will surprise you, or maybe you never heard them before.
Man, 1984 through the rest of the 80s is going to be
a bitch.
You're gonna have to break that shit up, man. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, I may have to do part 1 and part 2. I know. I knew as I was going through the 70s that eventually I'm going to have a come to Jesus moment with how I'm going to progress with the format.
I mean, just
going forward,
metal alone is going to be a massive piece of the 80s, but there was tons of other, Michael Jackson and all this Madonna, and man, I mean, there's like a lot of other pop music and stuff in the 80s blew up. So,
well, look at we just talked about 40 albums. I mean, I'm not going to probably scratch the itch with REM and some of those that you mentioned in there, or Manowar. I might try to get like off of Manowar's first album or something, just a kind of a nod to the band, because I know they've got a pretty strong fan base. We'll see what happens when we get there, but man, just this alone is almost an episode where you could pick a song off of each of those albums almost and put out a Time Travel Radio. Ooh, good stuff, man. Yeah, that was a cool find. I'm glad you had that list.
I've always got lists in the queue. Every time I see one that's even remotely interesting in my feed on Facebook or something, I just save the post. So
I like this one. This was fun to talk about. Hell yeah. Well, that's a wrap for this episode 304. We're jumping into 2024, almost 10 years of Disciples of the Watch. Same two guys, whole bunch of music, a lot of kick-ass talk, a lot of kick-ass bands we've played. Oh man.
Fuck man, a lot of shit's happened in 10 years too.
Absolutely. I can't wait to start digging into that conversation. I don't know how long that episode's going to be, but
it's going to be
we're
10
just going
years
to kind
long,
of sit back
basically. So for that guy bitching about a 3-hour episode, just wait for our fucking 10-year, pal, because it's going to be long.
Buckle up, bitch.
Shit.
Absolutely. Well, Nate, you picked the final song here. What do we got to send everybody off with?
Yeah, so I picked something off of Van Halen 1984 because, like I said, it's like the quintessential 1984 album. And I picked I'll Wait.
It's right there in the title.
That's my favorite song on the album. It's always grabbed me since I first heard it, and it's still my favorite song on the album, so I thought I'd roll out with that one. And it was a key song in the list of key songs. So, but you can't go wrong with any track on here, except Jump has worn out on me just a little bit compared to all the other songs. Like Panama, even though that got tons of play, I still fucking think that song is amazing. And, Hot for Teacher, of course, I could never imagine getting tired of hearing Hot for Teacher.
Girl Gone Bad. Oh, that's a kick-ass album. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I'm a little bit on a burnout with Jump, but I still don't. It's been so long since I've heard it that, or probably since the last time I spun this on vinyl, that I don't mind it now because it's been so long. But I try not to. I won't go back to it because I don't need to abuse it any more than it's already been abused in my life from all the radio play. They've had to play it live ever since. So, yeah, I feel bad for those guys.
Hey, I was fascinated with that album cover too when I was young.
Yeah, the
fucking angel smoking cigarettes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, stands out. Well, awesome, great stuff, man. I'm looking forward to celebrating our 10 years. So, Van Halen from 1984. I'll Wait. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for all those people that share. Stay tuned for 10 years, and until next time, my friends,
stay heavy.
Why are people so fucking stupid? I don't fucking get it, man.
We're going to have to put a parental advisory sticker on this episode.
Thank you for listening to Disciples of the Watch. This episode was produced by Gene Vogel and Nathan Matnich. All music is property of the artist or the publisher. Please buy music and support the art we all love. Editing on this episode was done by Gene Vogel. Check out our website, DotWpod.com, for show notes, links, and more information on the show, as well as connections to social media. Don't forget to subscribe to the show using your preferred podcast application, or use our FeedBurner RSS feed listed on our website. Plug it into your browser or whatever app you're using, and then you will get all of the goodness moving forward. And you can also download the show as MP3 files from DotWpod.com. If you'd like to support the show, please click on the support us link at our website. As well, we have Patreon, so you can do a monthly contribution if you so desire, or purchase some of our merch from our website. Thank you for listening, friends, and stay heavy.